Hi guys, and I just want to welcome you to G12Vintage first YouTube video. So today we will be speaking about things all G12, so what the brand's about, where we see this YouTube channel going, and just some of the Q&A that you guys asked over in the Instagram page. Just a little bit about me. I'm Daniel and I'm the founder of G12Vintage. I'm 24 years old and I currently live in Glasgow. First of all, G12Vintage started in July last year, and it started during obviously the height of the global pandemic, and it really was the pandemic was a wee bit of a turning point for me. So it was like where I kind of learned a lot about myself and what I wanted to do, and that's how G12Vintage came about. I decided I wanted to sell vintage clothing and really embracing the kind of vintage retro lifestyle and all the kind of things that came with that. And G12 we sell on ASOS Marketplace and Depop just now. So my plan and the reason I'm wanting to start a YouTube channel is so that we can obviously show the process of how we get the clothing from the wholesaler to the shoots to being on ASOS, and just really showing the kind of process and how we do styling. So the kind of videos that we'll be having on the channel is behind the scenes of the photo shoot, vlogging videos of them going down to our wholesalers. We'll be having the models and things come on and speak about themselves and speak about how they get into modelling and fashion, and we'll have people really who have been a part of G12 from get-go, giving the kind of a platform, a space for people to speak about issues that could be anything from issues to themselves, issues to do with fashion, issues sustainable, just really a kind of open space for people to talk about things that are really current just now within them, but also current in the world and people around us. The first questions that you guys have been asking is why the name G12Vintage. So the reason the part G12 came from is the area of in Glasgow, G12, so it's Byres Road area, and that is renowned for having charity shops, vintage retro style clothing stores. So that's really where I kind of found my passion and love for vintage clothing, and that's where I used to buy most of my clothing. So that's really where the part G12 came from. Then obviously the vintage is the vintage clothing we're selling, the retro style clothing that we're selling. So that's how we have G12Vintage. So the next question you guys have been asking me is why I started G12Vintage. And one of the main reasons is that I have such a strong love and passion for vintage clothing, and it's really when you go into a store and you find a piece of clothing, is finding a bit of treasure, a bit of history, and that's something that I really wanted to give other people, is find the bits of history and be able to provide that for other people, the same kind of buzz that I did get from when I first started buying vintage clothing. And also one of the kind of other main factors for me was the sustainability aspect. I believe that you should be doing what you can for the environment. So when I wanted to start a clothing brand, it just kind of felt right to have a vintage company whilst also being sustainable. So one of the next questions that you guys have been asking is why sustainable fashion is the way to go. So for me, I've worked firsthand in one of the leading high street retailers, so I've seen firsthand what fast fashion high street retailers have and the impact that has on the environment. So that is something that we are going to talk about more because it's the core values of our brand, but I feel that is a full video on its own to talk about and really educate you and really educate me and speak to different people and learn more, just to really educate you guys and also educate me. So the next question that you guys have been asking me is how I source my clothing. So originally when I first started out, it was we found stuff online, eBay. We also people had given us clothing and things until we really had established ourselves. So now we have a wholesaler that we go and handpick the clothing, and obviously because of COVID just now, it's been a wee bit more difficult to do that. So we've been able to have Zoom calls and things. So we first hand pick the clothing that's on the sites, obviously to make sure that all the quality is top notch and that really we are providing the best clothing that we can for you. So another question that you guys have asked is, how have you managed to keep your brand going throughout COVID? So this question is quite funny to me because I've never known the brand without COVID. So the brand started in July last year, so really I've had to learn everything, and really it's been more difficult than it would have been in like a non-COVID world, obviously, to start something like this. But I'm glad that I've learned this during COVID, because really now I feel like once things are obviously a wee bit more normal, it'll be a lot easier to manage things, and a lot of things won't get cancelled. But like one of the main ways that I have tried to keep the brand going is just always making sure the content out, so like making sure I'm able to do like photo shoots and just keeping things really social distance. And now obviously that we can get like more instant testing and things, in the more recent photo shoots the models have all been getting tested. And really, like, I've actually found now it's more of a benefit like to me that COVID was there, because at first it kind of annoyed me that I wasn't able to run it and do the things that I could do, like have a launch party and really do all these different great things that I could have done. But I feel now I've really got to understand how to run a business and how to run a business under such tight, like a really tight environment, and explore new ways I've been able to do things. So really it's just, for me, it's really keeping content out there and obviously keeping the people who are involved in G12 safe whilst doing that. So the next question that I'm going to answer from you is what's your favourite thing about running a vintage company? So my favourite thing is to do with like the photo shoots and being able to work with different models, different types of people, and being able to really, from picking the vintage clothing to really seeing it on the models and then seeing the final photos, the videography, and really getting to see that piece of clothing come back to life and like a new lifestyle. And yeah, so that's like really my favourite thing, is doing the photo shoots and seeing the clothing come to life again. So the next question I'm going to answer from you guys is, what's been your favourite drop so far? So my favourite drop so far has definitely been the one that's coming out Sunday the 18th of April. It is literally, like, if I do say so myself, it is the one. Like, it's everything that you want for a spring collection. Such cool pieces, such a cool concept. It really is exploring more of what the brand actually is, and the overall like drop name is called Florals for Spring Groundbreaking, which is obviously based off of The Devil Wears Prada. But yeah, so that is definitely my favourite drop. But I would say previously, before that, it would probably have been drop 4, which was our last big collection, which was in it was filmed and photographed in December, so it came out like for Christmas time. So if you want to check out, there is like an Instagram video of like the full drop, and like obviously all the content's on Instagram and things, so check that out and definitely check out the drop coming on Sunday. You're gonna love it. So the final question that I'm gonna answer in part 1 of Q&A is, where do you see G12 Vintage in 5 to 10 years time? I see world domination. No, I'm not kidding, but I see G12 going to different areas, so different places to sell from, sourcing the clothing. I see a store hopefully in the future, maybe 2, who knows. But I do see bigger things, and I see like one of the kind of main things I want to work on is the clothing brand, obviously, and building that, building the platform, and hopefully having my own website one day. And also another thing like I really want to work on is this channel. So definitely just grow the G12 empire and really embrace the culture of vintage, retro, and learn along the way, and hopefully educate you a wee bit and really just show you the process of the vintage company and how we started it and where we go, and just bring you along in the ride. So I just want to say, if you have made it this far and I've not bored you, then thank you so much for watching, and please check out the drop on Sunday. Trust me, it's worth it and it's going to be so cool. So I'll attach my socials below, and then thank you so much for listening and watching, and I hope to see you in part 2 next week. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you know when we're releasing a video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I don't like that bit.
No, I like that.
So for me, where
no, you're fine.
do you like that?
Yeah, but then you kind of need to round it off as well.
Yeah, but I'll do. What date is that? So it's the 18th. So by the 18th of this month, is it April? Let's go back. Let's start again.
Yeah,
I'm sure.